Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cultured Pull List. I am back after a bit of a long hiatus, but yeah, we are back with the Cultured Pull List, and this episode we're going to be talking about Matt Fraction's new Batman series that just started last month. It's really cool. A lot of people are loving it, and we're going to break down these two issues that are out and have a good time. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Mike, and I'm joined by Jerry from Comics Cut, the new permanent co-host going forward. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm so pumped for this show. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pumped as well. It's been a while. I was kind of like floating by myself for a while, trying to get my bearings with this show. I'm glad to have you. I mean, you've been on the show a few times before, but it's great
Yep.
to have you back in a more permanent role here. So.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously I do my own show that's like about the movies and with comic book knowledge, but get to put comics, which are just the best,
Yeah.
first and shoot it with you. This is going to be a blast. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I hope the fans are excited because we're going to have some really good conversations. Mike and I are both super passionate about comics. We're always reading way too many comics to keep track of. So,
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
yeah. So this will be good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so Matt Fraction's Batman that just came out. I'm actually not super up to date. Like I was reading Chip Zdarsky's run for a while. I even went back and read stuff. I think I started with like the failsafe arc, and then I went back and read like the arcs before that, like starting with his first issue. And then, I stopped like I think a few issues in between like the end and like Batman Hush, and now we've got. I mean, did you finish or did you read Hush 2, which was like right before this, I think.
Well, I don't think I'm up to date on it, but I don't think they finished it, and I think that was one of the issues.
Oh,
That yeah, they kept
I
delaying the
see.
last issue or two, and
Okay, I was
but
wondering because I hadn't really been seeing much about it for a little while, so I was wondering if it had wrapped up or not.
yeah, a lot of people were hating on it, and I think people love to hate on modern comics even when they're amazing.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, the Hush 2 hate, a lot of it was warranted. It was just not entertaining. It wasn't fun. I wasn't really enjoying it. I mean, I'm gonna finish it. It's like I think it's only like 6 or 8 issues total. And it's Batman, so I read every Batman issue no matter what because I still wanna, obtain the knowledge and the lore and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I was so hyped for it. And like, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I only read the first two issues. It wasn't really grabbing me, but I wasn't sure if it's gonna like build up and get better. But I kind of like stopped. I kind of fell off the wagon the last few months. Like keeping up on a lot of the like brand new comics for the most part. So I didn't. Like how far did they get with it? Like
I
how
think
many issues
there
in?
4 or 5, something like
Okay.
that. I think there's 1 or 2 more. And like Jim Lee had announced that he just finished the, penciling the last
Oh,
issue
okay.
like a week
Oh,
ago. So
oh,
I'm
damn. Okay.
sure, the people that
Yeah.
were enjoying it were probably annoyed because it's kind of odd that they did the Batman reboot before the last Batman run was even over.
Yeah, that is weird. I
Yeah.
kind of assumed they'd already finished it with because of that. Wow, yeah, that is odd. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I was gonna say, oh, I assume Hush 2 leads right into this, but maybe it does. We don't know
You
because this is
know,
kind of a it's not exactly for like a fresh start continuity wise, but it is with the new series. They're not trying to like be a continuation necessarily of everything from the last run.
Yeah, and they're not really reinventing the wheel here. It's
No.
awesome. It's exciting, but like at least so far. And one thing that was interesting to me was the amount of hype that Batman Matt Fraction had even before it came out. I'm a Matt Fraction fan. When I first got into comics, one of the first characters I really wanted to read a lot of was Iron Man. So I read his Invincible Iron Man run, which is one
Oh,
of my
nice.
all-time favorite comics. But like, other than that and Hawkeye and Fantastic Four, I don't know what else Matt Fraction has done other than indies to get the kind of hype that he got from Batman #1 before it came out. After it came out, it's a little different. I can understand that, but there's a lot of people that I know probably haven't read those comics that I'm like, what are you so hyped up about?
Yeah, I was mostly familiar with him from his Hawkeye run.
Yeah.
I hadn't read the Iron Man. I know he also wrote the Immortal Iron Fist like back before
Oh, okay.
Hawkeye came out, but I haven't read that. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like I know he's pretty popular. I think he got really popular mainstream in comics with Hawkeye. I think.
Yeah, I think
But
that's the one that like people
yeah,
really say is when people are saying their favorite Marvel runs, a lot of people say that Hawkeye. I haven't read it.
yeah,
It's definitely on my list,
yeah.
but I know like when I first started reading comics and I was looking up like top 10
Mhm.
lists, I saw that
Yeah.
Hawkeye run was on a lot of them.
Yeah, it is really good. I read the first like volumes, like the first like 6-ish issues,
Okay.
which a lot of the Hawkeye Disney Plus series is based heavily on it. Like obviously it's very like MCU-ized or whatever, but it definitely takes inspiration from that, which it's pretty cool to have like a Hawkeye comic that was that like stylized and well written. So it was pretty cool, but it's been a few years since I've read it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
for sure. This new DC is just crushing it with Batman right now.
Yeah.
The sales numbers for September just released, and
Oh,
forty
did they?
percent of the top 10 sellers were Batman books.
Yeah,
No
I
other
believe it.
character has that kind of presence. I even tweeted, I was
Yeah.
like, if you don't, I was like, I forget exactly what I wrote, but it was to the effect of,
Yeah.
don't tell me Superman is the face of DC, okay?
Yeah,
Batman
no,
keeps the
it's
lights on at that company.
oh, for sure. It's always been bad. I mean, that's why there's been like 80 different Batman iterations and animation and live act and everything for like the last 70 years at this point, so it's
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they're definitely like Superman is up there, but it's definitely Batman. Like he's especially when it comes to comics, honestly. Like there are good Superman comics, but I feel like even the most iconic Superman comics aren't as iconic as the Batman ones. It's just they always and yeah, well, how many Batman books are going now? There's the Matt Fraction new series. There's Absolute Batman. Is there
there's
anything else
Immortal
going?
Batman, there's Dark
Okay.
Patterns, there's
Oh, right,
Detective, there's
right.
I'm sure I'm missing a couple. Let me
There's
see.
there's a Batman and Robin series. Is
There's
that is that
Batman and
is that still
Robin, which I
going? Yeah.
actually really like that one.
I haven't read any of that, honestly.
It's pretty
There's
good.
just so many like Batman books. I can't keep up with everything.
The top four, the four that were on the top 10
Mhm.
were Deadpool Batman,
Oh,
Batman
right.
#1 by Matt Fraction, which sold
Mhm.
500,000 units in a month, which is so
Damn.
crazy. A lot
Damn.
of people didn't even believe it. There are like conspiracy theories on
Wow.
it. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
Absolute Batman, and of course, Batman #1 by Matt Fraction. Spider Man's got two on there. Amazing Spider Man 975, Ultimate Spider Man number 21, and then
Mm.
Punisher made it on there with the Red Bag special, which is really cool to see.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Man, Wonder Woman, and
Mhm.
Absolute Evil.
Oh, right. Absolute Evil. That's
So good.
that's part of the Absolute universe, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
did
a
you read
tie-in.
that?
I've not read it yet. It's probably the next thing I'm gonna read.
Yeah, bro, that comic is one of the best comics I've read all year.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty crazy. And
Yeah,
isn't like Absolute Lex Luthor in it? Like, isn't that like his debut in that?
it's a big spoiler, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, we kind of let the
yeah,
cat out of the bag there. And
yeah.
there's, this isn't a spoiler, but Absolute Green Arrow is in there, and if
Oh, yeah, I heard
you
about
haven't
that.
read
Yeah.
it, he is really cool. You are really gonna love Absolute Green
Okay,
Arrow. Let me
okay.
tell you.
Okay, sweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to. I'm not totally caught up all the Absolute books yet. I've been mostly keeping up with Superman and Batman. and Wonder Woman, to be honest, like, you know, like the Trinity. But I've read like the first issues at least of like all of them, except, you know, I haven't gotten to Absolute Evil yet, but that just came out, right?
Yeah, Absolute Evil came out last week, so
Okay.
you know
Yeah.
you're not
Okay.
far behind on that.
Okay.
And you know, I'm a little behind on Absolute Superman, but I'm just looking at this cover with Absolute Brainiac on the cover, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, I got one of the things that's nice about modern DC issues is that it's kind of a gift and a curse because I feel like they're a much shorter read than a Marvel book, but they're written really well. It's not like you feel like you're missing anything, but when you really like the book and it ends so fast, it's kind of annoying. But it's easy to catch up on stuff when you're behind.
I mean, I have definitely felt a bit with some of the newer Marvel ones. Like some of them feel, even I'm enjoying it, they sometimes feel a little bit of a slog getting to the end. I'm just kind of like, but like the DC ones do feel a lot tighter in general.
100%. That's the word for it. They're much tighter.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's get into it. Let's get into the new Batman #1. I got some info here of the creators here. So the writer is Matt Fraction. Obviously, we were just talking about that. The artist is Jorge Jimenez, who he actually did a lot of work with Chip Zdarsky's run as well. Like almost the entire run, and I really like his Batman. I really like his take on Batman. It's really cool.
He was also doing Tynion's Batman, so he's been on Batman for a really long time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, and then the colorist is Tameu Mora, and the letters was Clayton Cowles with Jorge Jimenez. And I mean, these just came out in September and October of this year, so just last month. And like the new #2 came out like last week or the week before. I mean, I think it must have been last week. I think, yeah, it was last week. Yeah. So, before we get into like the summary of the books, though, there's this new villain they revealed that's coming. That's gonna premiere, I believe, in Batman #4, right?
Minotaur, who
and he looks really sick. He's got like this suit and like this high tech looking like bull mask, I guess is what it's supposed to be, since he's the Minotaur. But
the mask to me makes me think Court of Owls and a little bit of Failsafe.
I was thinking Failsafe. Yeah.
And what's really interesting about that to me is, first of all, part of the inspiration Matt Fraction has said came from Ian Fleming's original James Bond novels. I'm a huge Bond fan.
Okay.
So tell me that, I'm bought in immediately. And you know, I love Failsafe. I love Court of Owls, and I think that it's really cool. If that is the combination, like that's really cool to me because Failsafe is such a cinematic, but at the same time, like deep character, Batman's psychological villain. And then Court of Owls, which is that like secret society. I think that would be a really nice combination. I could be completely wrong, but just based on what he looks like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, just even like the suit, it does give off kind of the, like really wealthy, well-connected villain.
Yeah.
But he's also got like a weird like logo on his tie that could definitely be some sort of like secret society type thing. And I mean, and the helmet itself too, like a normal like businessman or something doesn't go around wearing like a helmet like that.
Yeah,
so there's definitely something going on.
You definitely can't wear that helmet into a ballroom, I'll tell you that. But another thing that wouldn't go so over so nicely in the ballroom is that he actually has 7 fingers. And I didn't realize it in the photo for the first time when I saw it, but I read about that. I forget where I read it.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah.
That's weird looking.
It is weird looking. Like once you know, and it's, I don't know if you caught that on your first glimpse, like props off to you. And obviously they wanted people to see it because his hand is out, but Batman's on his hand, and that helmet thing is just that's where my attention went.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. I didn't even like pay attention to that he has 7 fingers. That's wild. That's wild. Huh.
Crazy.
All right, well, let's get into the summary here for these books. So, starting with issue #1, Another thing that's nice about these books is you can totally like jump right into them without necessarily having like read the last, few runs. So it's definitely like a nice starting on point if you're trying to get back into like Batman comics or starting out with Batman comics. Um, but yeah, the book opens. We see Jim Gordon, who's no longer the commissioner. He's a patrol cop, and he's talking with his partner, and they witness Killer Croc escaping from Arkham, and he attacks some like meat truck and starts eating like a madman. And Batman later shows up and investigates the crime scene. He talks with Dr. Zeller, who's the doctor at Arkham that was working with Killer Croc, and she's trying to convince Batman that Killer Croc is changing, like he molted, and not only is he going through a physical transformation, but he's gone through a mental transformation now, and he's not like the killer that he used to be. But Batman doesn't really buy it. Meanwhile, the police commissioner, who is Vandal Savage, yes, that's the Vandal Savage, if you're familiar with, DC Comics. He's a pretty prominent villain, but he is the commissioner of the Gotham Police Force right now. That happened back in Chip Zdarsky's run, and he announces to the police force that he's bringing in these private security contractors in to be part of the police force, and they're just like they're going to answer to him. So Batman tracks Killer Croc to Robinson Park, and he finds him in this butterfly vivarium. Yeah, we also see that Batman has. We're actually not sure if it's like an AI holographic Alfred or if it's a ghost or if it's in his head. It's never really said for sure, but Batman's got an Alfred following him along, talking to him. So Batman finds Killer Croc at the park, and he's expecting a fight, but Killer Croc's not interested in a fight really, and he's kind of childlike. And Batman realizes that Dr. Zeller was right, and he has changed, and he's kind of more in a childlike state now. So he stays with Killer Croc until Dr. Zeller and some Arkham attendants can come and take him back to Arkham. And as Bruce goes back to his Bat Cave and plans to rest for the night, seems like he gets a call from Tim, and Tim seems to be in a pretty rough spot as he's got cops pointing their guns at him. And then that leads into issue number 2.
So for issue number 2, the issue opens up with a flashback. Bruce teaching Tim Drake how to drive a stick, meaning manual transmission for those young guys out there at Wayne Manor. Damian teased Tim about his struggles. And then it's present day Gotham. We really get a lot of Tim Drake Robin. He foils an armed robbery of a delivery truck. One of the robbers flees and is shot by the GCPD when they arrived on scene. And then Robin tries to leave the scene, but he gets shot in the side midair, knocked out, and he wakes up handcuffed in a wagon full of crooks. The police, under pressure from corrupt leadership, they gave rough treatment to the detainees, which was notable. Batman even said he, is not about police brutality and murder. While in the wagon, though, Robin fought off the crooks. Batman arrives, disables the wagon using the bat spikes that shred the tires and frees Tim. Then they face off against the cops, holding them at gunpoint. During that confrontation, one cop fires a shotgun blast at Batman. Batman's temporarily knocked out, but he recovers, kind of, going back on him being older and a bit worn out. Tim leads Batman to the Batmobile, bandages the wounded cops on the ground, and drives off, complaining how many gears the car has. Meanwhile, word spreads that a policeman has died from his injuries sustained in the encounter. Commissioner Vandal Savage shows up at GCPD headquarters and frames Batman and Robin by tying the dead cop to them and presenting a bloody batarang as evidence of their supposed guilt. The interesting thing about this story was the themes and takeaways were, really about Tim Drake's evolution. He's not just a sidekick but he's someone who's capable and brave under pressure. The corrupt cops, abuse of power angle is very clear. It's worth noting Batman has always worked historically well with police. This is a different version of the police under obviously known, baddie Vandal Savage.
Right.
To make that point, because a lot of people on social media are missing the nuance here. Batman is not anti-police. He's also not pro-police brutality and murder, and these are obviously very corrupt police. Yeah. So, and the dynamic between Bruce and Tim was emphasized. It's not just mentor-student, but almost father and son in how Bruce tries to prep Tim. And, Gotham is definitely changing, and we're feeling that. Obviously, you touched on that on issue number 1, and we're seeing the dynamics of Gotham change more in issue number 2.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I felt like with issue number 1, this was more about Batman kind of lowering his guard a little bit, like because at the beginning he says, when Dr. Zeller tries to convince him that Killer Croc has changed, he goes like, nobody changes or whatever. And like throughout the issue, you kind of see that he's proven wrong, at least it seems like in Killer Croc's case. So it's kind of like what you said too, him kind of getting up there in years, like he's kind of got the mentality of like nobody changes, everybody, like once a killer, always a killer kind of thing, but then, he kind of opens up a little more towards the end and sees that Waylon Jones can change. And like, I didn't show the picture, but when he stayed with Waylon Jones, calmed him down, he took off his cowl, and just didn't like care about, he more like connected with him as
very compassionate. That moment stuck with me too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that those moments are really cool. And I think like people really resonate with those moments with Batman, because he is like, I mean, he's obviously a very like violent character because he beats the crap out of criminals every night. But those moments of, compassion and
the lighter side.
The lighter side shines so bright because he's normally such a a darker character. And I mean, I really like that too about in the Batman, Matt Reeves the Batman at the end. I think that they did. I think that's another example, like in live action media, where you kind of see he's like dark and all about vengeance for the whole thing, and then at the end he's more about like hope and helping people. I think that's like with Batman, it's always a good contrast when you have like the darker character being like the comforting one or whatever.
What's interesting too is in Detective Comics, in the current ongoing run, they have also been touching on Batman aging and not being fully having that vitality anymore. There was a villain who was his family friend, and she basically gave him this drug to feel younger and not feel the effects of the abuse of his body. And I don't want to spoil anything on how that played out, but it's interesting that they touched on it in Detective, and now it's a theme in the new Batman reboot as well.
Yeah, that is interesting. I like that they're doing it in the more like mainline comics, because we've seen plenty of iterations of older Batman, like in Batman Beyond, that the Dark Knight Returns and stuff. But those are more like alternate timeline type stories. I do find it interesting tackling that subject in the actual main timeline Batman series. Because I mean, he's been around for forever. He should be getting up there in years. He's had like 4 Robins. He should kind of start to be winding down a little bit. Like not being able to do as much as he was able to when he was a younger Batman. So I do like that they're touching on that. I also really like that Tim Drake is the Robin in this series. He is my favorite Robin. Like, I think out of the Bat family, Dick's my favorite, but I like him as Nightwing. I really like Tim as, the Robin. I feel like he connects the most with Bruce when it comes to you know, the detective aspect and just kind of like the crime fighting aspect of their job. I feel like he connects the most, and I feel like he's the most natural to it. You know, the other guys, like Dick was great with the acrobatics, the fighting and stuff, but he didn't really have as much of the, you know, like he and Bruce clashed a lot. I feel
Yeah.
like Tim and Bruce work really well together as Batman and Robin.
Batman has said that Tim is the best Robin. I forget exactly where, but I think he said it a couple of times. My favorite is Damien. I just love
Okay.
that little
Yeah.
asshole
Yeah.
person. You know, he's just great to
I
me. And,
He really grows on you. Well, he also grows as a character. At
yeah,
first, he is just like the worst. It's just like so insufferable, but you know, you kind of like respect him a bit at the same time. But he definitely grows, and I didn't like him at first, but like the you know as it went on, I do like him, and I do like his unique aspect of being a Robin because he's got the League of Assassins, League of Shadows, whatever history to him, and he's the only actual like you know blood son of you know
yeah,
the of Batman, so that kind of has an interesting. I mean, I like them all. There's not like a Robin I
I
dislike,
agree. I like them
but
all.
I feel like Damian in the comics has gone off and been more kind of what Dick and Tim did, and spends a lot more time with like the Titans and like other heroes. Because like I mean, he spends a lot of time with Jonathan Kent. He's more off doing you know other stuff. So it's kind of cool to see Tim back in
Yeah,
the rock role.
this is definitely making a bigger Tim Drake fan.
Mhm.
He's definitely the most skilled Robin, like by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just that scene because I remember reading this, and when the cops throw him in the back of that van, I'm like, yeah, because this is like a
Yeah.
whole like not only is he handcuffed, his hands are handcuffed behind his back, but there's just a whole truck full of these guys who want
Yeah,
to beat
and
the
he took
shit
them
out.
all out like no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he freaking like he flipped out of it and like got his hands in front of him and then like snapped the freaking
that was
the
crazy.
handcuffs. Like that was badass. Yeah.
By the way, the paneling work by Jorge Jimenez
Mhm,
on that
mhm.
was insane. Like
Yeah.
that is not. You got to think how difficult and tedious that must be to draw those panels
Yeah.
out as well as he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
He crushed that.
Yeah, no, he's really good. Not only do I like his designs, I like his um you know style and everything. It's just
Yeah.
all really good.
You know what's interesting about Jorge? Jorge has been my favorite artist at DC, maybe even
Mhm.
in general, since I read the James Tynion the fourth
Right.
Batman run.
Right.
And what's really interesting is if you look at his art from then, it's a completely different art style from what he's doing now. But what he's doing now is like your standard cartoon looking comics, just with such an edge and distinction to it. And I feel like that's kind of what Dan Mora does as well. Like
Yeah.
their styles are both just like comic cartoon, but
Mhm.
they do their own twist on it where Dan Mora's just feels like so electric and
Yeah.
Jorge Jimenez is just like so edgy. And it's crazy how unique it looks when it's really just simple comic art. That's what's so special to me about it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I see what you mean about Jorge's art, like really his style changing and like his character designs. I really like the way he draws Batman and like the design of the suits and everything is really cool.
Yeah,
Um, and
I
yeah,
he just crushes it, man.
oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, and you mentioned Dan Mora too. Like he's
Yeah,
been really great too. He does like a really good job with the flashier characters like
yeah, yeah.
Superman and you know Flash, Wonder Woman, like the Justice League. He does a really good job like making those characters pop and the colorists that work with him too. Like I'm not sure if he does his own colors or not, but like those colors really just pop. They're really nice.
You know what's interesting also is yeah, but he's a, like the Justice League run, which has gotten
Yeah.
so bad. It's still somewhat entertaining because Dan Mora is doing the art on it. But for a while, everyone on social media was like, Dan Mora is the best. Dan Mora is the best. Dan Mora is the best. I feel like I've been saying Jorge is the best for a while. And now, ever since Batman #1 dropped, everyone's saying it's Jorge. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes people are just it's just exposure, man. It's the same thing about, like, fan casts. All the fan casts are all just they're all actors that are in IP projects because those are the actors that get exposed to everyone.
Everybody knows,
yeah. And it's same with this. It's like Jorge's got the talent, but now that this new Batman run is so hyped, now everyone's taking a look at it,
Yeah, the internet's very fickle. They're just kind of like one day they'll be like, oh, this guy's the best, and like, oh, just kidding, it's this guy. No, for sure.
They don't know what they don't know.
No, for sure. But so these two issues are a really great start. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Vandal Savage real quick. Very interesting. Like, I know I saw some people didn't really like in Chip Zdarsky's run, when it was revealed that he's the new police commissioner. And I was a little bit confused too. Like, I looked into it a little more, or like I read what happened, and like it was basically like, for those of you who aren't familiar with Vandal Savage, in most versions he was like he's a warrior from like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago who was charged with radiation basically from like a meteorite, and that gave him like immortality, which apparently in one version, I think it might have been the first post-crisis version, apparently it was supposed to be a meteorite from the future, and it actually gave him like these weird like little like nanites, and that's what gave him his powers or something. It wasn't radiation. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. But so he's got these, like, the powers are pretty much like basic, enhanced like strength and agility and stuff, but he also has like immortality. Like, the dude can't die. He's very similar to the Immortal from an Invincible. Like, I feel like they definitely, like, Robert Kirkman probably took a lot of inspiration from Vandal Savage when he made Immortal, because in a lot of versions too, he through the years he was known like as Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan and all these other conquerors from history.
Oh, that's sick.
And he's been a big villain of the Justice League because that's like all he really cares about is gaining power and having dominion over wherever he is.
That's what he was focused on for this Zdarsky's run, was finding the different debris from that meteor to gain more power. I always really liked him as a character. Another thing with social media, they always wanted to see Jason Momoa as a Lobo because he obviously, with the makeup looks like Lobo, but he also looks like Vandal Savage.
It's true. He could have been a good Vandal Savage too. Yeah.
I love Zdarsky's run. A lot of people are like,
I do too. It
was so good.
I generally read comics in a vacuum. I don't peruse the comic side of the internet that often. But so it's always surprised me when I'm like, man, I really enjoyed this comic, and then I go and there's a comment like Chip Zdarsky's run sucked. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know this was a consensus, or a lot of people thought this. Yeah,
it's crazy, man, and people just hate on comics. I think it's like they want to feel more sophisticated about themselves or cool. And I remember Comics Explained once said, when they asked him like, how did you like this comic? He's like, because I'm happier than you are, and I just enjoyed it. Like, and
I know, right?
True, though. Like, it really is. A lot of these comics that people hate on are some of the best comics that I've read.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's worse than movies. Like, I really liked the Flash movie, and I could tell you when I went and saw that movie, I saw it at the special release that it like came out. And not only did I love it, the entire theater was at the edge of their seats, reacting the entire time. Everyone walked out like, oh my God, that was amazing. And then a couple weeks later, it released, and the entire internet was like, oh, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever. I think the controversy with the actor, which there's so many artists that like do crazy things. I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just saying, like, I watched the movie. I wasn't sitting down with a guy to have lunch, and I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the Flash too. Like, it was definitely like, a mixed bag because it was definitely a lot of like studio mandated stuff that was shoehorning into the movie. Like the ending got changed like 5 times at least.
Yeah, the ending was
Things
wild.
like that. In some of the CGI wasn't fin, like all that stuff. But it's like like overall, I did really enjoy it. I know a lot of people hate it, but
Yeah.
but I really think the internet though really like takes a handful of people that really hate something or hate on stuff because negativity is perpetuated by all the algorithms and shit, and then it just kind of like snowballs, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, everybody hates it because that's what you're supposed to do.
I also think that people are in, like, I think there's a groupthink aspect.
Sure.
When I decided to read Dan Slott's Fantastic Four, I did it, I think, after reading his Amazing Spider-Man, or I realized that run is actually good. It's not amazing, but it's definitely not just okay. It's good. And I read the whole thing, and there are people online that I've noticed. I like saved a couple of their Fantastic Four reading recommendations. I was like, oh, maybe I'll find something I didn't know of. Of course, because I research this stuff every day. But what I found was every single one of them, when they mentioned Dan Slott's, it was always the same thing. It was always like, oh, I didn't enjoy it, but you might, or I didn't enjoy it, or I didn't like it. And it's like, they're all mutuals with each other. And I'm like, they're just afraid to have your own opinion. I don't believe that all of you love the Fantastic Four and you're going to tell me this good comic. And then I looked deeper online for people that aren't in that group thing. And a lot of them said that they also enjoyed that comic run. Yeah. And I think there's an aspect to it where these like young kids who are probably like 20, 21, maybe even a little younger, they are more worried about fitting in than just letting themselves just enjoy something.
Sure. And it's probably not even like conscious half the time, it just and it can be hard. I mean, being on the internet a lot, it can be hard to like fully form your own opinion without any sort of outside influence. So like I get it, but like sometimes when people are just like hating to hate, it's definitely kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's so annoying, and especially because like comics could get a bad rap from people who are completely wrong, and people do the same thing to Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man, and it happens with a lot of Spider-Man comics. From people just like, oh, he's not with me. I'm not reading it. Like,
I feel like if people aren't talking about Kraven's Last Hunt or something, they're always like bitching about a Spider-Man comic. It feels like
like Spider-Man comics. The Zell Wells run, like, I could understand if you didn't like it.
It's definitely controversial. Yeah, I understand to a certain extent, but but some of the other stuff, like Dan Slott's, is like he created so many. Like his run is very iconic at this point. Like it really heavily inspired the MCU. Spider-Man PS4 games and the MCU. Yeah. Like he created like iconic new villains like Mr. Negative, and it's just it was. I mean, I'm definitely biased because that was the one I grew up with. Really, like I went when I was like in middle school, a little younger, middle school, and probably early high school. I like went to the library a lot, and they would always have like the new volume in the trade paperback, and I read probably the whole like Brand New Day thing, and like pretty much like his whole run. And then when I started collecting, I collected the last like I think like right after the Spider Island thing, and then all the way to 700, then Superior. So like I really like followed his run like almost the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, I just binged through it, but I think I read like the first two, and then earlier this year I reread the whole thing because I wanted to read the third one,
Mhm.
and I definitely think the first one and the first one's the best, the second one's the second best, and the third is the worst. But the third one's not bad; it's still good. It's just that he was on the book for a while. Obviously, that happens.
Yeah.
But like Marvel wouldn't have kept him on the book for that long.
Yeah, it was long. Yeah.
If it wasn't good and if it didn't sell well,
Right.
So obviously Marvel knows what they're doing, and they obviously believed that that book was good. He was writing Amazing Spider-Man for like 10 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, no, and then, he did a lot of great stuff on that run. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I feel like with the main, especially with the main most popular characters like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, maybe like a few others, people have such a like specific idea or like version that they like. So like anything else, if it doesn't quite live up to that, they don't like it, whether it's comics or some other interpretation. So it's like, I feel like whenever there's like a new comic, well, and I think maybe that's why some of those things are like the absolute universe is so popular, because it's like a fresh take. They can do whatever they want, and it doesn't affect the main timeline. But like anything in the main timeline is like hit or miss, whether people are gonna actually enjoy it or not. It feels like.
Yeah. I mean, I just pick up a comic book, and when I sit down to read it, I want to relax and have a good time with it. So I just sit down and I'm like, I hope this thing is going to be good, and I hope I'm going to relax and enjoy it. I don't. Maybe that's part of it. I have a good friend, Slav. Some of our listeners might know of him, but he's a YouTuber as well. Slav's Free Talk, if you want to check him out. And he is a big DC fan, and he was super hyped about Superman. And when Superman came out, I remember, we were going to live stream like after we saw it that Thursday, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't really like it. I'm kind of disappointed." And then he went back the next day, and he was able to enjoy it and really like it. And I figured that was probably because he went in with expectations and of what it was going to be, rather than just going in to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like with Ultimate Spider-Man, it's crazy to me that people are complaining about this book. It's everything.
It's everything. Yeah, exactly. And it's just really well written too. Like it's one of the best alternate universe things I've seen like in comics, because it changes enough to keep it interesting, but it doesn't completely like change aspects to it's like kind of an unrecognizable character or story or anything. It just really well done. It's some of the best like Spider-Man in the last few years, I think. And I honestly didn't know people were complaining about it until you said something about it. I was like, damn.
It's crazy to me, and it's also Hickman, who I think Hickman is the best writer.
He's really good.
I don't think anyone comes close. I don't think Dennis Camp comes close. I think Hickman, like just the way he writes, the stories he writes, there's just no one else out there that writes anything the way he does in terms of how complex and intricate and weaving stories together. I mean, he's the only guy. He is the guy that started writing comics that were so crazy that he had to include guides in the comic books to follow comic books. Okay, so
exactly.
Other people may have started to try to do that, but it still isn't as justified as it is when Hickman does it. And the one complaint I could understand on Ultimate Spider-Man, even though I disagree with it, is people will say, "Oh, sometimes Spider-Man takes a backseat." I don't disagree that happens. I disagree with saying that it's making me. I still enjoy it. Like the last issue, I think was all about Mr. Negative or Mysterio. Sorry, and then or one of them was all about Mr. Negative. One of them was all about Mysterio, and they were amazing. And I was like, realized at the end, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I really saw Spider-Man, but I didn't mind it because the story was so good. But the crazy thing is, the Ultimate Universe came out first, and then Absolute was like, okay, we're going to do our thing like that. And I think Ultimate kept it a bit closer to what it really is, and they didn't venture out as far in terms of just like. And Scott Snyder was like, we're just going to go absolutely haywire with it.
Yeah,
and, it's completely different.
The only complaint I have with the Absolute universe that you bring it up is that I feel like they're going a little bit too ham with all the like spin-offs. They're like, you get a series, you get a, like they're giving like a series to everybody, and I feel like it's a bit much.
It's hard to
I
follow. It's like I don't
yeah,
want to read
exactly,
every character's. I mean, you know,
exactly.
I didn't like Absolute Wonder Woman that much. I
Mhm.
read like the first 2 issues.
Yeah,
Absolute Superman's pretty cool,
yeah.
but Absolute Batman, I think,
Yeah,
is
Absolute Batman's crazy.
yeah, it's miles better than the other two. You know, where the Ultimates, I'm kind of enjoying. I would say I'm enjoying more of the Ultimate books than the Absolute books.
Sure.
But I'm not
Yeah.
like saying that to knock on the Absolute. I still love the Absolute stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. To kind of bring things close to an end here, what do you want to see in the next like few issues with this new Batman runs? There anything you expect to see or want to see?
Yeah, I would like to see a story arc with Minotaur. Like, I want to
Mhm.
see, you know, connectivity from issue to issue, and I
Yeah.
want the story to build. You know, they did say one thing that made me a little cautious was that each issue is going to be a story that's going to have a beginning, middle, and end. If that doesn't work its way into an overarching plot and it's like
Yeah.
episodic, I'm gonna have an issue.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, so far, I mean, issue 1 and 2 definitely connected and felt
Yeah,
like, well,
exactly.
so it does, and I do feel it does seem to me that they're ramping up to a Vandal Savage, going after Batman and Robin, and them having to deal with, like the cops under him, following Vandal Savage's orders, as well as, those private security guys that are like answering directly to Savage. So yeah, I definitely see that like an arc like that coming, and I'm definitely down for that. I'd be interested to see, because since Vandal Savage has been the commissioner, he's more just kind of been an annoyance up there. Like, yeah, we know there's a bad guy as the commissioner, but he's mostly been a thorn in Batman's side. But to see him actually directly going after Batman and seeing them clash could be interesting, I think, and kind of seeing, maybe like the cleanup of the police force once they defeat Savage. I
Yeah,
could
that would be
see that
cool.
happen. All right, man. Well, that's pretty much our show. Unless you had anything else, any last minute thing about the new Batman series. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about with that because there's only been 2 issues. So he's
Yeah,
kind of like we just kind of shot the shit about comics, which is a great time. I hope everyone
yeah,
listening enjoyed that. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you've read the new Batman issues, let us know what you think and what you hope to see going forward in Matt Fraction's run. Thank you so much for watching or listening if you're listening to the audio version. And be sure to follow Jerry on Comics Cuts on YouTube and TikTok, X, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. Go watch his stuff. Check out the Cultured Poll List on Instagram, and check out Casual Experts, my other brand on YouTube and Apple Podcast. I got another podcast on there as well, and Instagram, all the fun socials and stuff. And yeah, be sure to check out the Patreon for the Cultured Nerd as well. Look for our shows tier if you want to support that one specifically. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe and get some QR codes if you're watching at home to check out the Cultured Nerd on social media as well. And of course, thank you so much to the current Patreon supporters. That's an old slide, but but yeah, we really appreciate it, and thanks for helping keep the lights on. Until next week.